come to the end of this first little bit of storytelling. The first time I ever had my heart broken. My voice broke when I was saying the word broken. Spooky. It's an odd thing to talk about now. Well, I guess it'll be an odd thing to talk about every time because, as I've said in the past, I'm a very emotional person. I was very romantic. At least I used to be, right? And so going back this far to my very first solid relationship, my first love that I ever shared with another human being, it's I don't even know if hard's the right word. Odd to talk about it now, this far removed from when it happened. Because when it happens, let me tell you, I'm sure there are other people out there that can handle stuff like that far better than I ever did. When mine and Chelsea's relationship was coming to a close, which in and of itself sounds like it was planned, I was a mess, an absolute wreck. I don't know if it ever gets any easier when you're truly in love with another human being, unless you've, I don't know, put stuff off for so long and you've just become so dead and numb inside that you don't feel anything when things are finally sort of wrapped up. But for me, no relationship that ever ended did I ever feel like that. Like I said, we're so far removed. I know back then I definitely put a lot of blame on Chelsea. At the time, I felt justified in those emotions because I felt hurt and, at a loss. I was like anytime you lose a relationship, you are actually suffering the loss of something very special. It's one of the things that will come later when it comes to identity and how you view another person and how you view your relationship. Chelsea and I were very young. One could say high school sweethearts, although we started sort of flirting before that. We were very, very young throughout the entire run of our relationship. That's not me trying to lessen the importance of the relationship. I still, to this day, hold it as a very important relationship in my life. It's the one that sort of got everything going and solidified in my brain that, yes, I absolutely 100% do want to have a life with another human being. I want to share moments of my life with them. I want to grow old with them. Even back then, we're talking, I think I was 19 when we broke up. But even back then, in my brain, I was like, I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have that very traditional life. It was probably too much of a tall order to be expecting that from my relationship with Chelsea. Again, the only excuse I can lay down on it, not even an excuse, but an explanation, is that we were just too young. Back then, and again, it's so far removed, the reasons why it came to an end. I know back then, in my head, I seem to be remembering that Chelsea wanted to do bigger and better things. She wanted to go places and do things beyond the city we lived in, beyond the means of me being able to accompany her. She was a big dreamer, big aspirations. She didn't want to feel trapped by staying in the city we had both grown up in, and I ended up holding a lot of resentment for where I lived, for the expectations she put on me, and the assumptions that she put on me that I wouldn't go with her wherever it was that she wanted to go. Obviously, big emotions, big thoughts. Realistically, that was never going to happen. I wasn't going to leave where I was. I was a very stubborn young man then. People would argue I'm a very stubborn man now. And so while those were the actual like black and white reasons at the time that she felt like I was going to end up holding her back if she stayed, and I might end up resenting things if I went with her. It's funny because looking back, it's like those are so, it's so tunnel vision-y to think, because those options were never going to happen, because at the end of the day, we were just too young. We were both still figuring out our lives, figuring out who we were as people, and we had spent a great deal of time of our lives together as Matthew and Chelsea. That's who we were, right? And there hadn't been a lot of room for growth. Not only that, we had had the absolutely incredibly close friend circle. So there wasn't a lot of room for growth as individuals because of that as well. So like there's two things sort of working against a necessity when it comes to yourself. Yeah, it can spell disaster. It doesn't make it any easier at the time to deal with. Not only that, but I wasn't having these thoughts at the time. All I was feeling was like just this crushing pain in my chest and in my mind, and you start to really question the value of relationships because it hurts so very much when you lose that person. I remember just feeling completely useless. You start wondering if you can beg for things to have them back. You start wishing and praying for things to just change without you having to do anything on your end. And it's just, it ends up causing you absolutely sleepless nights. You know, you need an outlet and a place to put those emotions when you're having them. Thankfully, I did. I had a great support system when it came to my friends, and my creative side really took over, and I was sort of able to get a lot of my emotions out, which I think was a good thing. That makes it sound like it was so easy, and it really wasn't. I did stupid stuff that I regret, like nothing crazy or illegal or anything like that, but I was, gifts. I would throw out gifts, or I would set gifts on fire, all in the purpose of trying to get over this girl. And none of that stuff was therapeutic at all. I really am a believer that nothing heals those sorts of wounds other than time. And even knowing that back then doesn't make it any easier. It's like, okay, well, if time's going to do it, can we hurry it the F up, please? I remember lots of crying, lots of breakdowns. And I mean, that's only because I am a very emotional person. It is odd for me to talk about them again now, about all of that stuff, because I was a very young man back then. I wouldn't even say I was a young boy at 19. You think you know everything. And me especially, going back to my stubbornness, I really thought that Chelsea was it. Before all of the stuff sort of came out as the reasons why we are breaking up, for lack of a better term. I thought that this was it. My life was going to continue the way it was. I probably even thought very naively that Chelsea and I will be together forever. We will get married. All of our friends from that very tight group of 8 will be at our wedding, and life will just continue on ticky-boo. So for me, when it inevitably sort of all comes crumbling down, just because of being two very different people, I don't understand it. I don't rationalize it very easily. And it definitely leads you down these dark. I shouldn't say dark, because that makes it sound like I'm having horrible thoughts, and that wasn't it at all. It was just the most horrible thought I ever had during a breakup is I never want to be in a relationship again, right? Because of the pain. And it's not fun, but it's something that you go through when you open yourself up to another human being like that. It's a learning experience that I guess most of us have to go through. Was in no way done going through those emotions, that is for sure. But I can't sit here and pretend like it's going to continue to be easy for me to talk about the exact way I was feeling or the exact reasons why Chelsea and I broke up. It was so very, very long ago. And I really do think at the end of the day, when it comes to certain aspects of my life, things do absolutely happen for a reason. Chelsea and I actually ended up, after a healthy amount of time, we ended up becoming friends for a long period of time. I would say we probably still are, although years have passed since I've spoken to her. She's married now, and she has 2 kids, and she lives on the other side of the country. And I know that she is a very happy young woman from the last time that we spoke about all of that, which actually was very close to right before the birth of my daughter, I believe, was the last time we spoke on the phone. And it was nice to be able to sort of get over the heartbreak with her. And, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm 100% over any heartbreak I've ever had, but to continue to move forward and be an adult in my own life, I would say I've gotten over it for the most part. And it's been nice to be able to have her come back into my life in certain capacities and create stuff with me, you know, years ago, and just have a friendship with this woman who really was my first true love. I saw a question in the comments, what would I do if Chelsea walked back into my life right now? I'd say, what you doing here? And why aren't you back with your family? This isn't about wanting to get these relationships back. This is about wanting to share what has ultimately led me to be and think the way that I am. And we definitely have a little bit more to go for sure. But Chelsea was, like my grandfather said, the one that ruined me for the rest of the women I would ever meet in my life. That isn't to say that I didn't have some more incredible women come my way, but that is for another time for sure. As for now, Chelsea, yeah, I am very appreciative of that relationship, and I wouldn't change a single thing. The only thing that I can say now is that it changed me in the most immature way that I handled it, I think, was that we broke up very close to Christmas. So it was very important to me to sort of tell this final tale on Christmas, because back then, because it happened so close to Christmas, I used to love Christmas. Christmas was that season. It's what made me love winter as a season over summer, because it's just so magical. I don't have to explain the wonder of Christmas. Lots of people love Christmas. But when we break up, I believe, and I'm totally guessing here, but I believe it was like December 22nd of the year when we broke up. So very close. That was a hard pill for me to swallow, and it really made me sort of not be so keen on Christmases for quite a few years. And I don't even know if I quite look at them the same now. It's nice to be out here on Christmas Day by myself, sort of processing all of these emotions and just taking time for myself. I think at the end of the day, no matter what comes from these tales of my relationships that I've had, it's more important to do stuff for yourself and make sure you have the confidence that you need to move forward in your life before you even begin to think you can have any sort of relationship with another human being. I feel like maybe I'm almost there. I've definitely learned a lot from all of the relationships that I've had. But yeah, I'm glad that I'm able to get out here now and sort of face Christmas in this way, even though it was a little bit of a rough time. Because I did know that for quite a while there, I sort of held Chelsea accountable for the way I viewed Christmas in a more negative light. And that's unfair. It's not her fault. That's me projecting onto the relationship how I feel. And life moves on. And that was my motto for a very, very long time. And I think that's actually what got me over quite a lot of stuff in my life. But for now, that is the end of the story of mine and Chelsea's relationship. Way more positivity than negativity that came out of it. But it doesn't make it sting any less when you're actually going through it.
I remember like it was last night, hanging lights by the fireside. Yeah, we're all there. The trees are white. We're singing Elvis like we all went back in time. All the memories keep me warm. It's a truth.